I know a little bit about you because Dr. Barnes, your GP, spoke to me briefly, but really today I'd like to hear how you see the situation. Where would you like to start?
I don't know, really. I guess I'm slightly surprised to be here. I'm an academic, just been assigned to a post at university. I've been getting sort of more and more depressed for quite a while now. It's almost to the point where it's a struggle to even go to work is a struggle. And I just kind of always have this sense of like hopelessness and anxiety.
Tell me a little more. Tell me how it began.
I guess it was like 4 years ago. I was in Peru. I was doing research out there, and my girlfriend Sarah came out to be with me. She actually came out to live with me for a while because we wanted to make a go of it. And you know, it was the most beautiful place in the world. Really, it was where I wanted to be in my life, and it should have been the happiest time of my life. But I ruined it, really. I spoilt it, or sabotaged it, whatever you want to call it. But and I just couldn't get out of the mood that I was in, and eventually, it became too much for Sarah, and she had to. She came back home because she couldn't handle me anymore. She couldn't stand my moods anymore, like my hopelessness, and now she's with someone else. And I'm just worried that I'm going to sabotage my job. Like, I've sabotaged that. Like, I'm really worried that my new job's that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. So one might think that there's something of a pattern, you know, that you're in Peru, it's the place you want to be, Sarah comes out to join you. It could have been wonderful, but that's where you kind of go down. And now you've got this job, again, a new opening, an opportunity, and I can see you're worried you're going to get depressed again. Tell me something about your background, you know, your parents. What was it like for you?
So, it's pretty normal upbringing, you know, but quite easy. Just mum, dad, younger sister, who is 3 years younger than me.
You look as though you're really caught up with something terribly sad.
It's nothing really. But from about 12, my dad has been quite ill, and he's got wasting disease, which means he's severely, you know, he can hardly talk anymore, and he can't walk. So he's been severely, you know, incapacitated from it.
You said nothing really, and then you described this terrible situation.
Well, we just get on with it, really. Yeah, mum looks after dad, and my sister hasn't left home because she wants to, you know, look after mum and make sure she's okay. So everyone just gets on with it.
Well, really, you're not getting on with it, are you? You've stumbled, and I imagine it must be very difficult to have left that situation where these three people are having to deal with this terrible situation.
Yeah, it's not generally the case because, you know, mum's always been so, you know, happy with what I've achieved in my sporting achievements and in my academic achievements, and she is quite open about telling me that, you know, if it wasn't for me, she'd find it very hard to carry on. And I guess my dad's illness has always made me want to achieve as much as I can. It's always given me that sort of focus to do the best that I can.
he was hoping to find in me probably the father that he had before the father became ill. You know, a strong support, because I think he must have that in his history. You know, he's done well in life generally. I think he must have had kind of parents who looked after him, you know, decently and properly, and he's internalised them, and it served him well. So I think he was looking for that, you know, based on that's transference. We tend to think if the patient doesn't like us, it's transference. If the patient likes us, it means that they've got a, you know, they're a good judge of character. But actually, both are transference. I think my major countertransference, which did inform my hypothesis, I was actually feeling rather paternal towards him, and I thought occasionally he'd sneak glances at me, and I thought, he is hoping to find, you know, like a father figure or a helpful figure. And he certainly engaged that part of me. I mean, I really wanted to help him. I mean, for all sorts of reasons, narcissistic reasons and everything else. But I think there was a paternal countertransference, which I tried, obviously, not to act it out. I think it kind of influenced the rather gentle way I tried to talk to him. You know, I was really trying to engage him because I genuinely wanted to help him.
Perhaps maybe, I don't know what to say, maybe you could ask me questions. I don't know what to say.
This is a very difficult situation for anyone to be in.
Yeah.
But I would really just like you to say whatever comes into your mind.
I don't think this is right for me. This whole thing, I don't think this is sort of working for me. I really appreciate what you're doing, but I don't feel like these sessions, I'm going to get much out of these sessions. I mean, you came very well recommended by my GP, and I really, as I say, do appreciate what you're doing.
I can see you've got, you know, real doubts about this, but let's just try and work out, you know, how your mind works. Just tell me, I mean, you just have now, but tell me more about the things that come into your mind.
I guess I had this dream. This is really corny, this is really cheesy, but I had this dream last night that I was basically approached by my professor, he was wearing this like attire, his really professional attire, and he came up to me, and I couldn't help notice that he had like really filthy shoes, and it's like he'd been walking through like a field of clay. And there was this girl who was really attractive. She was like a colleague, and she was there, and she came up to him as well.
An actual colleague of yours,
yeah.
is it? Uh-huh.
And she noticed the shoes as well, and it was very important that we both didn't let him know that we'd noticed his filthy shoes. So it's a weird dream, and
What comes to your mind?
I guess I find this colleague that was in the dream, I guess I find her quite attractive, and I know that she's unattached right now, but I saw the professor was looking at her at the meeting we had last week, and I just think like he's old enough to be her father. Because I'm not saying like that like she can't be with an older man, because that's not what I mean, like, because obviously I'm not saying he's past it, but yeah, because a lot of older men do end up with younger girls, going out with them and stuff.
I can't help feeling that you got a bit anxious telling me that about that the prof's is, you know, old enough to be your colleague's father. I think you got anxious that I might kind of take it personally and think, oh, is he telling me that I'm too old, and so I think you're just trying to reassure me a little bit there.
I remember being like 12 years old, and I was playing football with my dad. And I remember that it was like an exact moment that I noticed that he was losing his coordination. And I think, it was also at that moment I realised that he was getting very ill, like there were the signs of his illness.
I think that's very important, and I think it links with the dream. I think you have got a real difficulty, with older men who, to relate it to your dream, might have feet of clay. It begins with your father not being able to coordinate his feet, and I think you have doubts about me, despite my high reputation. Really, have I got feet of clay and won't be able to help you? And I think it's the same with your prof in the dream. I think you're worried that you're young and active and can do things, and there's these older men with feet of clay.
Maybe. Yeah, well, I guess that's kind of like inevitable, because what happened to, what's happened to Dad. I guess that is kind of maybe what. Sometimes it's so hard because I wish things had been different. I wish that he wasn't ill. No, but it's good, but in a way because it's good, because it makes me want to be more, achieve more, and it pushes me further knowing that my dad's ill, and also like the support of my mum, that makes me, that gives me a drive. But it's like, why can't I just enjoy that, And why do I, like this lecture, why am I so scared or worried or terrified that I'm just going to mess it up all the time?
I'm sure what you say is right, that it has given you a drive in your life, that you want to make up for your father's illness and, bring something good into the situation. But I think there's another side to it as well, also, to go back to the dream, there's your colleague who will, in actual fact, she's quite attracted to you and not to the professor. And I think you're worried that if you make a success of things, you kind of outdo and, you compete with the man and do better than him. I think you're worried that if your colleague would prefer you to me, you to the professor, I think it goes back to that early memory as well, that you're the better footballer. And I think being better, I know it's a good thing, but I think it also comes with all of this baggage, which you can't, is really bringing you down, I think.
I suppose so. I'm remembering the day that I first got depressed. Do you want me to tell you about it?
It's coming to your mind, go on.
Well, I was in Peru, and Sarah, the girlfriend that I mentioned, ex-girlfriend, we went hiking. We took a day trip and we went hiking, and we found this ridge, and we climbed the ridge, and we just went to the top and we looked down, and we could see miles upon miles of countryside and just these beautiful landscapes, and it was the most, beautiful moment. I just got like really scared about how high up we were. And, you know, I got vertigo. I started to become like really frozen with fear, to the point where she had to like, Sarah had to basically help me down. I was like really embarrassed. She had to help me. And I never ever suffered from vertigo before.
I think you do get very anxious, you know, when you feel that you could really be sort of on top of the world, on top of things. I know there's a part of you who wants to, you know, make a real success of the lecture, but I think that memory is about getting very, very anxious when you're high. I think partly because you're worried that you'll be looking down on people, like your father, your professor, me. And then I think you get incredibly anxious. And I think, you know, you say Sarah helped you down. I think you also want me to help you kind of understand this so that you don't get so anxious about doing well.
I just feel like really guilty about evidence that, you know, my life or whatever I have achieved or think I've achieved. When I think about my mum and my sister Rachel, like what they're going through, that's what makes me feel really, I don't know, yeah, whatever the word is.
Well, you use the word guilty. I think that is the right word, you know. So I think you feel guilty, you know, for example, I'm in your mind as someone who can't help you, who's a failure, and then you go off and do a really good lecture. I think that would be very difficult for you. I think you want to feel that, you know, someone like me could be strong and that you could be strong as well.